going to call to open the meeting for the Mound City Council regular meeting Tuesday, March 12th. It's 7 o'clock. We're in council chambers. Can we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thanks everybody for coming out. I got our agenda. Do we have any amendments?
We just have one that's removing 4C from the consent agenda. The outfit that had the application in decided that the location wasn't great, so they are going to move it. So it's no longer need to be approved.
Okay. We're taking out 4C. All right, so I got the consented or the agenda with that amendment. Can I get a motion to approve it?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A and B, removing item C.
Okay, and can I get a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, passes. All right, we got the consent agenda. Does somebody want to go through those? There's a lot of them.
I mean, we're just naming off A and B, so.
Yeah.
Approving payment of claims, B, approving minutes from the February 20th special workshop, February 28th workshop meeting, and the February 28th regular meeting, and removing item C.
All right. Got the consent agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Larson?
Aye.
Councilmember McEnany?
Aye.
Councilmember Pugh?
Aye.
Councilmember Castellano?
Aye.
Mayor Holt?
Aye. All right, thanks, all that passes. Number 5, we got comments and suggestions from anybody that's present that the topic is not on the agenda. And if you can come up here, please give, you got 3 minutes and keep your comment short.
Hello, everybody. Tiffany Beitler, co-founder of the Eli Hart Foundation.
You're on the agenda, kind of.
Oh, but us.
Number 9, Surfside Park improvements.
Are we allowed to speak during that?
Yeah, you
Oh.
can speak after that.
Okay.
Okay. It might be a minute, but anybody else?
Pete Meyer, Sunset Road, Mound. I just wanted to make a brief comment about the Eli Foundation Park.
Okay, you're gonna have to
Should I
wait. Yep,
Okay,
thanks.
thank you.
All right, anybody else? Okay, not hearing anybody else. Do we have Orno, please, here? I think so. Okay, I'm gonna skip that for now. If they show up, we'll bring it back up. Number 7, we got the franchise fee amendment.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, members of the council. Back in December, the city council passed or enacted an ordinance amendment with regards to increasing the franchise fees. Those ordinances were sent out to utilities. We heard back from Xcel Energy. They had no problem with the fee increases. They just wanted to keep the sunset clause in the ordinance as it was. I think it's the end of 2025. That doesn't impact the fees or what the intent of the council was. So what's brought back to you is an ordinance that doesn't affect the sunset clause, but still keeps the franchise fee increases. And so we'd be looking for, and this would replace the ordinance that was approved in December.
Okay.
And so what we're looking for is approval. We're recommending approval of the ordinance and looking for that motion from the city council.
All right, does council have any questions? All right, hear none. Can I get a motion to approve? And it starts on page 662.
So is there more than one? It's just one, right?
Actually, I think it's 657 on.
Oh, there's a couple of them,
Yeah,
sorry.
let's
Yes.
go with the one at 657.
657?
Yeah.
First?
Okay,
Or there's only one.
Okay,
one, all right.
sorry, I was jumping.
One long
ahead.
one.
Two,
Yeah.
all right.
Okay, so 657.
I would like to make a motion to approve the ordinance amending Chapter 74, Appendix A regarding franchises.
Okay, got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. All right, number 8, request to rename Auditor's Road to Harbor Place.
I can,
Mr. Mayor?
Yep.
I, with your permission, I'd like to recuse myself.
Yep, thanks. All right, go ahead, Jesse.
so I'm just getting down to the memo here. So this is the culmination of the renaming of Auditor's Road to Harbor Place. And at this point, we just need to approve ordinance 2-24, or 2024, amending Appendix B of the Mound City Code as it relates to street naming.
All right, so that's on page 666. That's the start of it.
Be 668.
668 is in the ordinance. All right, so can I get a motion to approve that?
Yeah, sorry. I would like to make a motion approving an ordinance amending Appendix B of the Mound City Code as it relates to street naming.
All right, got a motion, can I get a second?
Second.
All right, any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. All right, number 9, we got Surfside Park improvements. And Matt will comment.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Matt Baumann, City Engineer. On March 5th, we opened bids for the Surfside Park Playground Improvements Project. We received 11 bids, and in the bids, there was an alternate. We had requested a price for sod around the playground and a price for seed. We received very favorable bids. The low bid was Blackstone Contractors. The base bid plus the sod alternate was $101,322.42. If we went with the seed and blanket option, it'd be $93,274.02. And I just want to note that with the project and not part of our bids, there's going to be some work completed by Public Works staff, and then there's going to be some electrical rework needed for some of the outlets that are down there. We received a couple quotes for that. Ryan Preach at Public Works did. So Egan Companies is a low quote to do the electrical work for $99,750. There are some stakes that we put out there that I believe you're all aware of that kind of outline the shape of the playground. There's pink stakes, which was one option, and then looks like we're going to go with the alternate option of shifting and twisting it slightly, which are the white stakes. And so to do that, we'll have to work through a little bit of a change with the contractor, but it should all be within pretty close to that original budget. And so with that, you have a resolution to approve. You'll have to decide on if you go with the sod or seed alternate. We would recommend the sod option because that's going to give the quickest restoration for the area. And so if you have any other questions for me.
Does council have any questions?
I know.
And what page is your resolution?
I don't have a resolution.
6A.
I think it's just a,
This is just
There's
discussion.
just a motion, 701. Well, that's lift station, sorry.
Yeah. Just a
Mr.
motion to
Mayor?
staff.
Yeah, there should be a resolution for that.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay, just a second, is that all you had?
First, Surfside, yes.
Okay, all right,
Yeah.
thanks. And I'm going to let people come up too. Do you have anything you want to say first?
I have a question, and I just talked to our city manager, Mr. Dixon, about it. And I had asked for 2 days now, I've asked for a summary of what the in-kind expenses are going to be that the city of Mound taxpayers are going to be, I mean, the taxpayers are paying for the in-kind work. Now, he didn't, I just asked him, I walked up there. So he gave me a number, and it's much, much lower than it was originally. But I would like to just table the budget for now and for 2 weeks, so I can have all the numbers in front of me, which I don't have on paper. And,
We've talked about this how many times?
okay, just a minute.
Okay, go ahead, yeah.
We haven't talked about in-kind today.
We've talked about this, the budget, how much it costs.
What to do. Yes, and I would like to have, I would like, frankly, for this council to be completely transparent, to let our taxpayers and residents know how much this whole thing is gonna cost them also. But I would just ask for a 2-week, tabling it for 2 weeks. We can't get out there yet anyway, because road limits are on, so we can't even get out there. But I would just like the opportunity to get all my numbers together so that I can talk about where we are with these numbers. And I'd just like to be on record, and I don't have them right now.
Okay. Anybody else have a question?
I'm seeking clarification. You want the, wait a minute. Before us, we're talking about accepting bids, right? The lowest bid for this offer. Paula's asking for what? Because the bid is separate from, I think you're asking for the overall project budget and cost?
But
Is that-
it's my understanding that once, this is my understanding, I could be wrong, but once the bid is accepted, it's a closed door on this project. The only way that we can crawl back this whole thing would be through a rescind what we've done before. I know, I've been told that's not a good option. So I just thought if we would put the brakes on for 2 weeks so that I could see exactly where this in-kind work is going to take place, coupled with the fact that now we do have, I'm going to say, a favorable bid on, but I want to see what's been pulled out and what's really on the in-kind.
So what exactly are you looking for the in-kind part?
I want to know how much the taxpayers of Mound are going to be paying for to supplement this project with the
You're
playground.
talking about like the Public Works
Yes.
taking down the project?
Yeah.
And
I just feel like, I just think we need to be transparent with this, Mayor Holt.
And we
That's
have-
my personal opinion. I'm only one vote.
And we've talked about that a handful of times.
Okay.
That the Public Works was always gonna do, taking down the thing, helping to prep the land before these guys would start their project.
But that's not in-kind work. It's actually part of the total development cost, right? It's just our contribution.
Yeah, that's our contribution.
So it's, I think the in-kind piece throws it off, Paula. It's not really in-kind, it's what the city is contributing towards the total project, right? Or,
I'm making the request. I'm only one person on this council. I just think we need some transparency here, and we need to be able to provide our taxpayers with this, with these quotes. And I did receive today, I did receive the detail on these bids here. And so I want to be able to compare detail by detail by detail, and then see what the in-kind cost is, so I can see. Because here's the deal, if somebody's got to pay for this, and I just want to make sure I understand, as a council member, exactly what this is going to be costing us as taxpayers.
Okay.
But I'm only one vote.
All right, does anybody want to come up and talk about this? If you want, just come up, give me your name, address, and you got 3 minutes.
Hello again. Tiffany Beitler, 1350 Game Farm Circle, Minnetrista. We obviously know there's been a lot of talk about the playground, and I would like to stand up and just say a few things. For those that are opposed, where have you been for the last 2 years? This has been an extremely public and open project. It's literally been featured around the world. We've held many fundraisers, been to several Parks and Open Spaces Commission meetings, been to several city council meetings. We've been active on social media, had an active GoFundMe page, been in numerous newspaper articles locally and in the Twin Cities, have been in over 12 news broadcasts, and talked to numerous organizations, like presentations. And we have never received opposition except for the 2 city council members. Local companies, I'm sorry. The fact is, the opinion shouldn't matter anymore. We have a signed contract, and this has been in motion for nearly 2 years. The community supports this and came together to make this happen. We've received over 700 personal donations, have donations and support from Hennepin County Youth Sports Program, West Tonka Rotary, Tonka Lions, the Legion, West Tonka Community and Commerce, West Tonka JCs, Bethel United Women in Faith, Our Lady of the Lake, Spirits of the Lake, Minneapolis Foundation, American Endowment Foundation, Be Like Tommy, Plymouth Rotary, Excelsior Rotary, Council of Catholic Women at Our Lady of the Lake, Knights of Columbus at Our Lady of the Lake, Wayzata Rotary, Minnetonka Rotary, Orono Rotary, and more. Local companies have donated, such as Jubilee Foods, Ameriprise Financial, Dock and Lift, West Tonka Animal Hospital, Caterpillar, Polaris, Minnesota Lakes Bank, Carboni's, Back Channel Brewery, State Farm, Post Brands, Culver's, Navarre Dental, Harbor Wine and Spirits, Wheels to Waves, and over 100 more companies that are local. Again, the community overwhelmingly supports this and came together to make this happen.
Thank you. Hey, give us your name and
Good
address.
evening. Hello, my name is Johan Schema. I reside at 6039 Beechwood Road in Mound, Minnesota. I sent an email with the presentation. Do you have the presentation that you can put on the screen, please? So yes, what happened to Eli is really a tragedy, and I really applaud you for doing the work. However, nothing is set in stone until it is signed, and right now it is not signed. So it is still
we
time
did
for people to
Sign it last. in
It's
December.
still time for people to put their input. Next slide, please. So here is an extract of the Surfside Park master plan dating from 2018, not so long ago. And you can read page number 10, that there is a need for more open space, more green space, especially during festivals and events. Currently, can you stay on that page? Thank you. Currently, the playground and existing tree locations impede circulation and views. Those are very important points. And I want to highlight that Surfside Park master plan was not designed out of the blue by somebody in his cube. It was designed with input from the whole community. And I understand that the person who presented the project has support from businesses, but businesses are not people. People are people who reside in the city. So yes, it's a tragedy what happened to Eli, but let's not that cloud our judgment, because that will be what we will see in our park for the next 20 years. So that's very important. Thank you. So it reads also in this Surfside Park master plan that the playground constructed with natural material should be made with wood or stone, and that's what the community preferred, as well as you can see what the surfacing should be, and also that we should maintain views from the playground to all other areas of the park. That's very important. Next slide, please. So that is the extract from the master plan, and you can see the playground area labeled M, which would be then expanded a little bit. Next slide, please. Now, what is the Surfside change proposal? And I read in the city contact, it's called an upgrade of the playground equipment, just an upgrade. In the city contact of 224, it says over the next year and a half. So to me, it's not set in stone, things that are evolving. And here the donations amount to $290,000. So that $290,000, and that would be important for the next slide, please. So that's what I see in the proposal, and I was shocked because I'm like, wait a second, that takes the whole park. Next slide, please. So let's put side by side what we see. So that's the current size of the park, and on the right side, that's the proposal. And you can see it's like multiplying the area of the park by the play area by 3. And you can see the green area, the lawn is gone. There's no more space for people to congregate, play frisbee, play football, play soccer, no space whatsoever. Next slide, please. Now if we put the master plan, which is on the left, to the proposal, you see it's a dramatic change. Next slide, please. And moreover, if we see what the master plan had planned on the top right, which is something low level, that blends into the countryside and doesn't impede the view to the park as it's proposed over here on the bottom left. Next slide, please. So here are the various issues that I noted compared to the master plan
So-
with what's proposed.
Can you wrap them?
Yes, yes.
Trying to keep
definitely.
it to
So
three-ish.
it does not respect the wishes from the constituent, because those wishes have been captured during the Surfside Master Plan document. It blocks the view, bigger is not better, and it impedes other activities that will take place in that area. Next slide, please. Also, the surfacing looks like it's plastic. Plastic does not absorb water. We need things to absorb water, and we don't need runoff water at this point. What about parking issues? That park is huge. Where would people going to park? In the summertime, they can't park where the people launch their boat because there's no space. They can't park where the parking is by the depot because people either use the depot for an event or they use the depot for the parking for going to the beach. Now, what about the attendance during the low month, like from October to, say, March? There's nobody. Nobody's going to go at that park, so it's going to be sitting empty for all those months. Next question is, what about the budget shortfall? If we look at the budget, sorry, it's a little small, but the budget that was quoted for the master plan back in 2018 was around $180,000, and that was for the same size as the current one. Now, for the budget for this park, which is 3 times bigger, is around $300,000, and that's it. So there's going to be a big shortfall. Next slide, please. So I understand what happened to Eli is a real tragedy, but we need to make sure that that really is something that will benefit the public and also kids, and also the memory of Eli. So what about the Eli Hart Foundation? It helps the city implement the view that was made by the master plan instead of trying to pull something off that doesn't equate at all with the wishes of the constituent. Or another option, what about moving the park somewhere else? Like some place where there's more space, like Shirley Hills, where kids can play all year long with that park. So those are just my comments on the project, and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. All right, anybody else? All right, give us your name and address.
Good evening, Peter Meyer, 5748 Sunset Road, Mound, Minnesota. I got married in Mound. I bought a house here 42 years ago. I raised my family here. I was on the Park Commission for about 8 years in the 90s. And I was honored to be able to serve on the Mound Council for one term, 2000 to 2004. And back in the 90s, you know, green space, we were the legwork for starting the nature conservation program in Mound, where Mound had all these small, odd-sized lots all over, and council crafted a program, so we have, quote, a number of these turned into nature areas. When I was on the council, I think I can say that we hired Sarah. That's one of my high points. My name is on the fire station. Kind of right at the end of the, you know, we raised a petition and got enough signatures so we were trying to save the ball fields at the old high school. And so basically, there's always been a green space problem, and I want to say, first of all, I fully support the Eli Hart Foundation and establishing a playground there. I was well aware of the fundraising that was going on, and I did not know that the city, is it correct? I heard $200,000, they put that in the budget last year towards in-kind or groundwork or part of the project.
That's
You know,
what we're
I
talking
heard
about
that
tonight.
number. I don't know where you're at now, but I got our city newsletter a few weeks ago, and I took a look at the picture, and you know, I had always just assumed, and I guess that's probably a crazy thing to do these days with any part of local, state, or federal government, but I had no idea it was gonna be 3 to 4 four times bigger than the about 50 by 50, lot we use for the huge majority of our playgrounds in Mound, our parks. I know Mound Bay Park is more of a regional park. It's multi-use, and I was really surprised how big it was. I didn't know that, and maybe that's something that could have been held, advertised a little bit more. And so I'm really surprised that the Park Commission would have gone along with something this big. It's too much for there. How is it going to affect our city days in July and our fireworks? And, I'm all for it. I just think it's way too big, and, I could go on and on,
Yeah.
but I don't need to. I just,
Yeah.
For Mound's needs, we've got all these little parks, and we finally, we've got, it's a beautiful park, and I just would like to see you table it and make it smaller,
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you for being on the council and serving the city.
Appreciate it.
And I also work for Kevin now too as an election judge.
Oh, there you go.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Just give us your names and addresses.
Hi, Barb Zimmerman, 5503 Three Points Boulevard in Mound.
Oh, there's all four. Okay.
Austin Weber, 233 School Avenue.
Kara Schmitz, 25845 Birch Bluff Road, Shorewood. Jess Hill, 2217 Basswood Lane, Mound.
Hi, thanks for all you do and the opportunity to talk about this. We're with the Spirit of the Lakes Festival, and always appreciative of the city and the community and all the support. We're all about community building and that kind of thing. And we're also very much in support of an Eli Hart Memorial Playground. I think it's an important thing. Some of us have made contributions to it. We are a little bit concerned about the location and the size. We didn't see to scale drawings until probably less than a week ago. And so kind of two thoughts. One is the festival's already a bit of a tight fit. So we'd like to the extent we can, be involved in that location and the size and that kind of thing. The placement kind of is in prime center, right where you access the beach and also view the lake. So those are a couple of things. And then another topic is the timing of the construction. We're concerned, we're planning for this year's festival. We've got it on the 19th and 20th of July. And with the Boat-In movie on the 18th. And so we're just concerned, is there gonna be a problem where a whole bunch of it's gonna be blocked off, and so we have to shrink the festival even more this year. Just need a little bit of input, heads up. Those are our thoughts, if that's still a work in process. Anything else? I didn't get a chance to.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'll just speak up as well, because I met with our layout crew, and I don't want to contradict what our board is seeing as well, and we have some opportunity to further discuss some stuff, but the staking that's at the ground this evening, there was pink and white, and I kind of caught on that the white is the official, and with our layout crew down there tonight, we did find a feasible manner, and it is put in a really great location, and we were able to lay out the festival this evening that works really great for us. So with that, we'd like to go forward. We just have a couple, like Barb's mentioning, timing. How long is the construction gonna take? Do we see the grounds feasible? We don't want to damage them worse with our festival and the traffic crowd that we bring to this area and stimulate the community with. So we just have questions around that, so.
And real fast, can you just mention that real fast?
Yes.
There's seed and sod, but
Seed and sod, we're recommending sod so it can be done sooner, and then, I was gonna look it up really quick, I forgot it off the top of my head, but we want the contractor to be done by, I think it's June, early June. So everything should be pretty well established by the time you guys are ready.
And if that is the case, then we'd excitedly like to further market that and promote that.
okay. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Anybody else? All right, thanks. Please give us your name and address.
Mary Davis, 3021 Inverness Lane. I remember when I moved here being very frustrated because we have all this lake and I had no access to it. The only access we really have is this beach. So I think we should really be careful of what we do. I'm not against what the sentiment was. I know, I mean, this was a tough deal that we endured. How it ended up in Mound is a interesting thing, but anyway, so I'm very aware that this was happening. When were the scale drawings available?
October was the first pack.
Okay, so I'm really behind. If I would have seen how big they were, I would have been here at every meeting. I'm sorry, I've been busy with other things, giving other people their problems. But if you think about it, this is not just any place. This is by a lake on a beach. And when you drive by and you see all these people playing, they're playing volleyball, they're enjoying the free space, it makes me sick to think that's going to be destroyed. Have we considered another location for it? I'm trying not to step on anyone's toes. I know this is like, well, we're really think that they're so far, but we haven't really started. I do remember walking my dog through a different park and finding a little, whatever you QR code and filling out the form, and what the gentleman just did with his beautiful talk is exactly true. I was asking for more green space. If you think about Atessa, it just took away green space. We don't even know what that's going to look like in the end. What happened to just kind of some calmness, some green space? Where is it going to be? I oppose.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Hello. Hi, I'm Margie Satzer, and I live on 2625 West Edge Boulevard, Mound, Minnesota. My husband and I moved out here in 1984. So we raised our family, and now we have our grandchildren that we are hoping to raise and have fun with out here. I personally hate talking in public, didn't even want to come up here, but I will say that when I saw the stakes go up, I was horrified. I have used the park since I've lived out here for many, many years. I brought my kids up here, and now I bring my grandchildren up here. And there's really not that much room when you go up here, even during the week, just to put a blanket out, set up a little picnic and stuff, and it's crowded the way it is. And now we're gonna lose all this just grass space to like play with our kids and have fun. And on the weekends, that whole beach is totally packed, and people are not gonna be setting up blankets on wood chips. And then if you go up to the beach in August, which I do, there's like goose poop like over the whole beach. And so I've even, before, when I went up to the beach with my son, I'd bring a rake up sometime and just like rake up goose poop so I can lay a blanket out or whatever. But what's gonna happen, like, who's gonna clean up the goose poop when it's all over in the wood chips? I mean, I'm just like, from a practical standpoint, it just doesn't make any sense to have this park so big. I myself would love to have a better park up there. I mean, it's not the best park, but I mean, I'm not against the park. I would like a better park, but I just think it needs to be way scaled down. It's just way too big. We have this, it's our biggest selling point we have in Mound is you drive in Mound and you see this beautiful lake. And now just to drive by there and just see, like, anybody can have a park, but anybody cannot have a lake. And I mean, if you want to have that big of a park, like, move it somewhere else in Mound. Don't ruin our lake space. And places for families to hang out and have fun and our little bit of grass and whatever. You probably won't listen to me, but I'm just saying it's just too big. Just too big.
Anybody else want to come up?
Jamie Tates, 4637 Carlo Road. I was not planning on speaking tonight, but one constituent group that Tiffany did not mention is the young adults. My daughter and a group of young adults just an hour and a half ago who have been working on this project tirelessly for a year just made it to internationals for a competition to raise the profile of this and the cause that they're standing for. And as a longtime resident of Mound and a parent of 4 kids who have either graduated or will graduate, I'm just disappointed. The amount of young adults who are watching what we're doing, who have spent countless hours working with Tiffany and Ben and the foundation members, their own time to make this happen, and the number of adults in the past couple weeks who have posted things that are not based in fact, that are just horrible and they should be ashamed, and people who are coming at the last minute to do this. I want to remind us that everything we do in here, the young adults in the future of this city are watching us, and I think we need to remember that sometimes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else?
Hi, Tom Venable, 5991 Ridgewood Road. My wife and I moved here in 2009, so I've been here about 15 years. I'm the board chair of WeCab, which is a nonprofit that provides rides for people that don't have rides in Mound. I'm also a member of the Mound Rotary. And I want to share with you the fact that we've raised close to $40,000 of donations for this project through 7 Rotary groups around Lake Minnetonka. So in addition to the Mound Rotary Group, we've raised money from Orono, Wayzata, Minnetonka, Plymouth, Excelsior, and City of the Lakes, which is actually in Minneapolis. So 7 Rotary groups, which are community service organizations, have gotten behind this project and donated close to $40,000 of their money that they've raised through various activities to support this. And I applaud the previous speaker, because what I've seen, because I've been involved in this since almost day one, when I met Tiffany at the Spirit of the Lakes parade in 2022, is the leadership that this group has provided to the children of this town has been amazing. Hundreds, maybe thousands of kids have watched this group do the right thing and raise money for a cause to support a child who was murdered by her mother. I cry every time I talk about this, and so I apologize in advance for crying, but the message they've sent to the kids of our community on what to do when times are bad and do the right thing, it's been inspiring. My kids are all grown up adults, but if I was a kid or a parent of kids of that age, of elementary school age, I'd be so thankful for what these 3 people did to show how to raise money and raise awareness for a problem we have with our community, which is mental illness. As part of the ongoing legacy of their foundation, right, is to not only build a park that's well-known and well-seen, but also to provide education and awareness for a problem that are in our society called mental disease. So I'm in full support of this program, and I hope that we do the right thing as a community. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Is it something new?
It's just to explain one thing that you just said.
Okay, real fast. Give us your name and address.
Mary Davis, 3021 Inverness Lane. I think what is interesting about this whole thing is we thought it was a win-win because we felt horrible about what happened to Eli, and we wanted to support anything that would kind of help with the healing. And number 2, we were already looking at maybe having a redo of the park. But I think what's gotten us off track, and I'm saying us because, I mean, I'm not part of this project, but us as in a community, is the emotion. And you cannot make a decision off emotions. They'll stray you. I really think that these kids that worked on it, that's a beautiful thing, and I don't want to take that away either. Is there any way they could be, it's one of those things where you can have a project and you have this great idea, and until you see it pinned with the stakes and the visual of it, you don't really know what you're doing. And so we're at that point now. And I just would say we should kind of regroup and think about how you could accommodate not taking up all the space, all the blocking the view, and doing what was this project started out with. I don't think that we were expecting it to be this big. Thank you.
All right, any last comments?
I have a comment.
Oh, hold on.
I just want to correct a
Just
couple facts.
real fast, real fast.
I think a lot of this is based on things that are not true. Whether you think it's too big or not, that is one thing, and everyone is respected, you know, to have your opinions. We do not have a budget shortfall. The Eli Hart Playground is paying for everything that we were ever supposed to. The city of Mound was always going to cover the groundwork, even in their master plan. The ground is not plastic. It is 85% wood chips, which are porous, and 15% poured in place, which is also porous and ADA compliant. And also, the design of the playground was based on the Parks and Recreation City recommendation, looking natural, blending into the natural elements with green and wood pieces throughout the playground. I just wanted to correct a few things.
Thank you. All right, last double up here, just real fast.
Hi,
We're gonna be here
Johan
all night.
Shama, 6039 Beechwood Road, Mound, Minnesota. Then my question is, where was the park council during all that time? Because that document about the master plan has been in the works for 6 years. You know that the city has been working little by little to make the park according to the vision, and now you're totally deviating from the vision. So what was the park doing all that time?
Okay.
And furthermore, yes, the budget is here, but I would rather see the city spend $100,000 in going towards that vision and help with the help of the Eli Hart Foundation to bring a park that really matches the will of the community. Thank you.
Okay. Any new people? Hey, give us your name and address.
Joe Bruns, I'm on Sutter Circle. Just a couple points. I've been trying to get Sutter Circle seal coated for over 5 years, and I understand now you're gonna divert $120,000 of liquor store profits to this project. And what happened to the profits of the liquor store being used for seal coating on streets? Did that just get abandoned? Are we diverting liquor store profits somewhere else now?
I can kind of answer that.
Go ahead.
So the liquor store profits are like an enterprise fund, so they can be used for whatever the city needs it to be used for each year. So if there was no seal coating to be done, then it would get used for something else, or maybe a small portion for seal coating, and then it's an open fund
Because I
to
was
provide
trying to get a
tax relief.
response out of Eric, and it was nothing but silence.
Okay.
So
I'm sorry about that.
that's one point I wanted to make, is we need to seal coat streets, because if you don't seal coat streets, you're gonna end up replacing them, because if you don't maintain that overland. Second thing is, I don't know if anyone ever considered it, but if you put this playground there in that size, you're gonna attract that much more children, and you're near a body of water. There are no lifeguards in this area. There's going to be increased incidents because of the increased number of children that are at this park. There's no supervision there's no lifeguards there. We don't pay lifeguards to supervise that area. So that you're gonna have an increased risk of incidents near that water or in the water. And I don't think you want that on your, to your credit. And annual maintenance costs, who's gonna pick that up? Because I understand this is an ADA compliant playground. There's gonna be tens of thousands of dollars of maintenance costs annually. Where's that money coming from? The people that are funding this, they're gonna be long gone once it's done. They're not gonna pay annual maintenance costs on it. Where's that money coming from? Is it gonna come out of my taxes?
We have a budget for parks and public works to maintain all the parks every year, so if it was this equipment or other equipment, it would be getting replaced out of that same
But I
budget.
heard because it's ADA compliant, the maintenance costs are a lot higher than just a regular small playground would be, like you have today.
Okay, I've not
Is
heard
that true? I saw that somebody told me that, or I read it somewhere, but,
Okay, I've not heard that.
okay.
We have to ask Public Works.
At any rate, yeah, I'm obviously late to the game, but should have been talking about this in December, but I was just made aware of, especially the stakes, that you can see them now, and the thing, I'm surprised Spirit of the Lakes isn't going bananas. And it isn't just for this summer, it's gonna be every summer from this point forward if this thing gets built here. Just build it somewhere else. We got a lot of parks in Mound. You don't have to build it where you're building it, or where you're thinking of building it. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any last comments about the park?
I'd
All
like
right,
to
hearing
say
none.
something.
Okay, so we'll bring it back to council. Go ahead, Councilmember McEnany.
I want to clarify to Tiffany that I have always been in awe of your fundraising efforts. And I have consistently voted no on this, not because of what you're doing for Eli Hart and for our city. I have consistently voted no because of the size. And I've been very clear about that since February 14th, a year ago. I'm completely impressed by your fundraising efforts, and that's why you have a successful business, because that's what you do, you're in marketing. So I've only been here 36 years. Some people have been here a lot longer, but for me, and for a lot of people who have voiced their opinion to me, the success of Surfside Park has always been the green space and the ask for more green space. It's been historically preserved for that reason. So because of that, I have always wanted to stick to the 2018 master plan that the taxpayers did spend $17,000 on. I think with the kids and all the people who have donated towards this, I think it's amazing. But that is a separate issue from me voting no on the size of this and how it will impact our park, our events, and the openness of the green space that we have come to enjoy and appreciate.
Any other comments?
I'd like to make a comment. We have been trying, first of all, I applaud the three of you for doing this heartfelt job that you did, raising all this money. You've done a fabulous job. And we're not saying that we don't want that size of a park at Surfside because of anything to do with your fundraising. You are to be commended for the fundraising. But in defense of us on the council here, because as some of you know, we've been smeared on Nextdoor and all kinds of things going on because we dare to speak up. But the reason we're speaking up is that as elected officials here, Sherry, Jason, Kathy, and myself, as elected officials, we have a fiduciary duty to our taxpayers of this town. We can't think with our heart. And I think a lot of this has to do with thinking with our hearts. But we have to do the right thing, and we have to stand up for our taxpayers. I agree with you. This park that they've designed, we have repeatedly asked to please make it smaller, please make it smaller. That has been a cry from the very beginning. It was too big. I personally asked the previous city manager twice. I asked him, We need to see how big this park is going to be, because I personally felt it kept creeping out and creeping out. We asked to even have some of the equipment, some of the play structures removed, so we could kind of rein in the size of this playground. Because we want to rein in the size of this playground has nothing to do with your efforts of raising this money and all the people that have helped raise this money. This has nothing to do with this. We have a fiduciary duty up here. We need to take care of our city's assets. We need to watch out for what our taxpayers have done. And I have brought up before this large playground, because now it takes up approximately 2/3 of the view, because it's right now pretty much within 10 feet of the beach. My personal opinion, I've been down there forever. Now you're gonna have to go around, and it's just not gonna be a good thing. It needs to be smaller, but I think there's a win-win here for the three of you on the Eli Hart Foundation, and there's a win-win for the taxpayers of Mound. We just need to put the brakes on. I think we need to put the brakes on until after Spirit of the Lakes, because it's gonna be new construction down there. They're gonna have to water that sod down there, and I even know what Spirit of the Lakes looks like, the turf looks like after, with no construction on it. And it takes our wonderful public works crew to come back and they try to repair it. But so I commend you for doing this. But we have been asking, we've asked to have it staked, we wanted to see how big this was, but once again, my buzzword is transparency. We could never, the former city manager, who's not here any longer, we have a wonderful city manager now, but we asked for this. We asked to have the footprint reduced. It's too big. But our friends with the Eli Hart Foundation, unfortunately, are gonna find out they're gonna have, if that big park, that huge park goes in, the parking at Surfside is a disaster. And we've been working on the parking issue for years. There's some issues going on down there, and hopefully with our new city attorney, I think he has a solution for it. But if this playground is rated for 215 to 217 kids from the ages of 5 to 12 to be using this huge space, where are these parents? Where are these people gonna park? There is no parking. So I'm again gonna make a humble request, which might mix up things a little bit, and I think the three of the Eli Hart people have already been approached with this. But I think there's a win-win for all of us. There's a win-win for the Eli Hart Foundation, and put your big playground right in the center of Mound, where we haven't removed any trees yet. We can start with a blank canvas. We're taking down multiple trees at Surfside Park. A park means trees, but no, we're gonna take those down. There's also some ash trees that are gonna come down, which is gonna make it look terrible with all these trees coming down. So I'm gonna suggest that the green space, and we've talked about this, Sherry's on the Parks Commission. I think we just need to halt and think about what we're doing here. We have to think, we, the four elected people, we have to think with our fiduciary minds, take care of the city's assets, and I think we have a win-win here. I'm strongly suggesting that we take the Eli playground and move it to the green space over that's sitting there waiting to be graded, and we're gonna put some sod in. So now I know there's an easement and all this other stuff with Met Council and so forth, but we need to pick a name for that park over there. I think it would be a fun name for that park, and to have the Eli Hart Memorial Park over there on the other side of Artesa, not destroying any trees, but to put that large park there. What an honor for that child to have this brand new area, space for everybody. And do you know what the best part is? There's parking. We have that parking ramp there. You're not going to get parking at Surfside. We have been battling the parking issue. City attorney will tell you what we've been trying, the council members here have been trying to do. So I would just I would like to suggest, and I know there's already been a meeting, but this is going to be a win-win for the Eli Hart Foundation. Your whole park can go in. You are going to have parking. You are going to have the trail there. All those things you're going to be able to access for the 215 to 270 kids that this playground will hold. And I just think we need to put the brakes on. Remember, there's a song by Joni Mitchell, pave paradise and put up a parking lot. That's unfortunately what we have going on down at Surfside. I'm just begging the Eli Hart people, nothing is in, the budget hasn't been approved yet. The load limits are still on. We can't have heavy equipment there. And I think this would be a win-win for everybody. We can keep the green space, go back to the 2018 Surfside Park Plan, and put our natural, which we had already selected, by the way. We had already picked out the logs and which was ADA. This is all ADA in the same place. There was something unique. It was environmentally friendly, and that's what the previous councils years back, that's what we picked. We did not pick a playground. We did not pick this size. So I would ask you, it's a win-win. Let's put our heads together. Let's do this for Eli Hart. Let his memory have that great big park right in the center of our town. It's on the trail. We have the parking, and there's places that you can eat at. And so it's just a better place, and if you want the view of the channel down there and access by boat, we have that down there too. This would work for both sides of this. We need to keep our green space. It is too valuable to give up.
All right, does anybody else have any comments?
Well, as the board council member who sits on the Parks Commission, I just want to make sure that everyone understands we have a park system in this city. We have over 33 parks. Many of them are neighborhood parks with play areas for children. Some are passive parks. There are some that are pollinator gardens, but they're a variety. They're neighborhood-based parks. We have 3 parks or 4 parks that are larger: Philbrook, Highland, Surfside, and 3 Points. Those are the larger parks. Those parks tend to have maybe a tennis court, what's that new thing, pickleball, or a baseball field at Philbrook, things like that. When the plan was done for Surfside, that was our major large park. It was the park where events and everything would be held. During that process, the council also dedicated a new park, which is going to be an events park in downtown Mound, which is along the trail, as Paula mentioned. That park will serve to be a place to hold events because there's parking there. So things like, hopefully over time, Festival of the Lakes, the music in the parks can be in places like that with the amphitheater, with seating, but it's an event center so that we can have things that happen in our community. Those events will then feed into the downtown where our businesses are located and hopefully support them as well. So understand that it's not a park in isolation. It is about planning and positioning, and the reality is that there is not going to be additional parking at Surfside because everyone says green space, well, you never want to give it up for parking, and we're not going to be able to add parking, but Surfside is a walkable park. Everyone in Mound can walk to that park. We can walk everywhere we want in this town, to be honest, and so maybe we should put a little less emphasis on the driving and think about location and compatibility. And I think that the play space is more compatible with the Surfside, with the beach, with the volleyball, than the picnic areas. Thank you.
You want to say any comments at all? Or? No? All right. Well, as some of you may know, may not, I guess, but I've been working with the foundation, I think right after the election for mayor, November. This has gone 2 councils, 2 mayors, I guess, this whole thing. So I kind of got caught up with them and kind of jumped onto the bandwagon per se. And through that, we got connections through a grant donation. Some of these don't, well, that donation, I think specifies it has to be in Surfside Park. I think it's part of the donation. I've actually talked to the foundation just recently about would they be open to moving, and it's, we're too far, we're too close to the finish line. A lot of people fundraised specifically for, they want to give money to a park at Surfside Park and the playground there. So the stakes just went out the other day, and I thank you for pushing that. We had to move them back about, what, 21 feet on one corner, 7-8 feet on the other corner. So if you saw the pink stakes, yes, it was a little farther in. The white stakes are a heck of a lot better now. I walked it the last couple days, just met Spirit of Lakes president over there right before this at 4:45. We looked at kind of the view, and as you heard, she just came up here and said it's workable. We'll work through it. We'll figure it out. We'll get the sod down, not seed, and hopefully we're not going to have a mess. What we were a little bit worried about before, if the bids came back with seeds. So I'm obviously in support of it. Obviously, these are hard positions to do. You know, we're elected. We got to represent what we think people want, and obviously this is a split issue. And anyway, I'd say we got to move forward. So with that, what are our options for our bids here?
Excuse me. So not in the council packet, but you'd have to add it in here. Be a resolution to award the contract to the low bid to Blackstone Contractors, the base bid plus alternate 1, which would be sod, or base bid plus alternate 2, which would be seed. And then part of that is also authorizing the electrical work, getting Egan to do the quoted work there.
Okay.
I think that covers it.
Right, either that or just a simple motion, I think, as well. But I think that's a preference thing.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
I'm going to try to remember everything you just said. So without a resolution on paper, I'd make a motion to award the bid to Blackstone Contractors for $101,322 and the additional costs for Egan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the sod.
In the sod,
Sod,
not seed.
Yeah, Blackstone with alternate 1.
All right, so that's a motion. Can I get a second?
Oh, second.
All right, any other discussion?
Yes.
Okay.
I just want to make a comment about the 6-year, the original Surfside plan. The number 2 thing that our citizens who did participate in the survey, number 2 thing was green space. Playground was way down. We already talked about this. So I think there's a better place for it. But if not, I would like a roll call vote on this too, so the taxpayers can see who voted for this and which ones were.
We're going to vote right now.
Yeah, but we need a roll. I'm asking for a roll call vote. So each one of us
By
can.
name, she wants to vote by
Okay.
name.
That's
Each
fine.
one of us can say yes or no, yay or nay.
Okay,
So
that's
we
fine.
have that on record, which ones did this.
All right. Okay, so got a motion, got a second, no other discussion? Okay, roll call, please.
Councilmember Larson?
Nay.
Councilmember McEnany?
Nay.
Councilmember Pugh?
Yes.
Councilmember Castellano?
Yes?
Mayor Holt?
Yes. All right, that passes. Thanks, guys, for coming out. All right, so now we got, We got lift station improvements, number 10.
Yeah,
Oh,
number 6.
Oh, sorry, we're going to go back to
City.
Orno,
It's been
please.
waiting so patiently.
So quiet.
I know, right? Thanks for being patient. We had you before, but you weren't here.
Mayor and council, thank you very much for having me. Sorry for my tardiness today. We had a call that came up right when I was supposed to be here. So.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, thanks.
As far as I reviewed what was given to you guys in your packets, I noticed that they still whited out the stuff, and that was discussed, so I'm going to go back to them and make sure we're still on the same page. I'm sure it got lost in the shuffle when maybe they're producing this one, so we can get a kind of a better result for you guys. But as far as February goes, obviously we had a very unique February as far as the temperature, between being hot and cold, and we had a few cold weeks, some really beautiful weeks. So we had some higher call volume in certain areas, lower call volume in other areas. As far as this month, it really can just be defined as a handful of domestic related events and then a couple of tragic events where people unfortunately had taken their own lives. So we worked through that, and the community's exceptional in a lot of those situations where entire neighborhoods came together and were taking care of each other, which was really nice to see. Doesn't happen everywhere, so it was a good thing for those families. As far as a consistent thing that's been happening, popping up around the metro, we're starting to see a lot more theft from motor vehicles. Obviously, we always have theft from or of motor vehicles, but now we're having a lot of theft from. So Orno proper is dealing with it a lot at our dog parks and some other places, and we're really targeting that. A couple of people from those we believe to be coming down in this area too. We've had a couple down here, not a lot at this point, and we're doing everything we can do to thwart that. But just so everybody knows, make sure they're not leaving anything valuable that anybody can see in the car. Tucking it under your seat's not good enough. People who carry purses, those little straps have this bad tendency to sneak out from underneath the seat. People see it, and they'll break in and they'll grab it and go. And unfortunately, it's causing a lot of damage to cars and scaring people, which is reasonable. You should have some safety in your own vehicle, your own property, and unfortunately, these people are taking that away from everybody. So, I take any questions?
All right, does council have any questions?
Could I readdress?
Yes.
I guess I didn't hear you. Because the address is this street name as well as the numerical identification on the address?
Correct.
Are being blocked out. Is that the way it's going to continue to be?
As far as the conversation I had, no. It was asked. I asked that it would be put as at bare minimum cross streets or as close as you could get to it. Some of it is, I guess, past precedents. It sounds like they've had the actual numbers on there. Some of those calls for service would be, in my opinion, my humble opinion, inappropriate to have on there simply for people's privacy, and I think we can all agree to that.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't know why it started going that way, and it was discussed, and for whatever reason, just didn't make it in this one. So I think there was maybe a miscommunication.
I personally think that the street name should appear. I'm okay with not, pinpointing the domestic at somebody's
Sure.
house down the road. I don't want that kind of detail on it, but I think it would be nice if you live on Linwood Boulevard and then you see there's a burglary or something going on Linwood Boulevard, and then it would just kind of say, oh, I have to be extra
Certainly.
careful with my car.
Certainly.
Stuff like that. So hopefully we can go back to having the street name. We don't need any more identification.
Yeah.
We don't need that.
Absolutely. I'll readdress it with the administration
Okay.
staff and see what we can do
Thank you.
to address that.
Cool. Anybody else? All right, thanks.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everyone.
it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We don't, you can go ask them.
Well, I was basically on the subject matter, what the subject matter was there.
Oh.
Just addressing,
On our agenda, the address, the actual address isn't showing up. And we're requesting that to show the actual just at least street.
Yes, they were essentially accidentally censoring it or
I don't know if you can show it here.
The last several meetings, they've been
Yeah.
redacting everything.
On the police
rather than
report, the address and the street were whited out.
redacted, and we used to see what street it was on. And that was helpful.
Incidents?
Yes.
Okay.
So we're requesting that,
Okay,
we at least want to know where the street is. Or,
all right, thank you.
yeah, he'll show it to you in a minute.
Almost there.
Okay, now we're going to go back to lift station improvements, number 10.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. I think recently you authorized final design and specifications for the A3 lift station, the 2024 improvement project. That's located at the corner of Sunset Road and Sycamore Lane, over by the Dutch Lake area. We have completed the plans and specifications, and so we have an updated cost estimate for you. The current engineer's estimate total project cost is just over $850,000. The feasibility study estimate was $785,000, and then relate that back to the number in the capital improvement plan, which was $620,000. And I just want to caveat that the capital improvement plan did not have budgeted for the force main replacement, which was approximately 450 feet up the roadway there. So the reasons for the cost increases are, as we got into final design, the method we were planning to replace the force main with didn't look as likely to be successful, which was directional drilling. So we want to go with pipe bursting, so it's a little bit more cost there, but it's more likely to be successful. And then the planned location of the force main also didn't fit as well, so we needed to move it back farther. So we're taking up more roadway, a little bit, replacing more storm sewer, and just additional costs there. Also with that, there's a couple inflow and infiltration small fixes that we can do while we're in the area, so just replacing some castings and sealing up some structures a little bit better. So that results in a $71,000 higher engineer's estimate, but that's not the bid. So we're asking to go to bid so we can get final amounts, and then you can consider that for final award. So with that, you have a resolution to authorize accepting plans and specifications and going out for bids for the 2024 lift station improvement project.
Okay, does council have any questions?
Can you just refresh my memory on what number this is out of, is it 31 or 34?
We have 30 total, and I
Okay.
think this is 25 or 6.
All right.
Yeah. I should have
Just
studied
checking.
that before we got here, but yeah.
Wasn't a quiz, I was just like, how many are left?
All right, any other questions? Okay, we got a resolution on page 701. Someone wants to make that?
Can do. I'll make a resolution receiving report and authorizing prep for plans and specs, ordering advertisement for bids for 2024 lift station improvements project.
All right, got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, that passes. Thanks. And you're on the next one, too?
Yes.
All right, number 11 is stop sign on Tuxedo Boulevard at Brighton Boulevard.
Yeah, so before you, we have a letter. You received requests for removing the stop signs on Tuxedo Boulevard at Brighton Boulevard. So we did a stage 1 review in procedure with the city's adopted traffic control change policy. So the stage 1 review is just a desktop review, so we took a look at a pretty high level of what the request was and what our recommendations would be. So a little background on that. That crossing, we've been making incremental changes to it. So it started back in the 2016 and 17 street projects. So with those, we did some ADA improvements. So we put in truncated domes, and then the 17 project, I believe we followed up and then kind of cleared out a sight line, so coming around that corner so you can see to the pedestrian crossing itself better. And then in the 2022, there was some requests to add additional controls there. Pedestrians felt it still wasn't safe. With those projects, we never did stripe crossing. We didn't put up pedestrian crossing signs, so they were kind of at their own risk to cross at that location. Go to the next piece here. So Tuxedo Boulevard is a collector road. It has larger traffic volumes. With that, it does, there aren't warrants itself for Tuxedo and Brighton to have a 3-way stop on its own. Tuxedo should have, how do you say it, order of operations. It would not require stop signs. There aren't enough traffic incidents there to meet warrants for that. With the pedestrian crossing, though, the sidewalk that lines the entire length of Tuxedo Boulevard, half of it is kind of on the south side. It jogs quite a bit, so we'll just say it's on the south side, and then at Brighton Boulevard, that's where it switches, and the other half is on the north side, up to the kind of northeastern city limits of Tuxedo. And that is the decision point for pedestrians. They need to cross there if they want to stay on the sidewalk. So, and there's also a large sweeping curve there, like I mentioned before. So then actually this was back in 2022, Brian Simmons presented a few options for kind of incremental changes that could be made there. So what the city electric go with was striping the crosswalk, putting in stop signs, and then putting up advanced warning signs for those stop signs so people can see it's coming, and then it becomes a consistent movement. The couple other things that were reviewed with that were RFBs with rectangular rapid flashing beacons, and then a Hawk system. Either one of those are kind of lighted flashing signs. That they're fairly expensive, but those are also presented. So with our high level review, there's a couple things that could be done. Not necessarily recommending any of them, but just to have a safe crossing there. We could consider constructing a sidewalk the west of the intersection, continuing on the north side, so that there would not have to be a crossing at Brighton Boulevard. Then in order for that to kind of be a safe road, we'd recommend extending that all the way to the south city limits. So that's ends up being about 17,000 square feet, and really high level cost is $400,000 to complete that work. We could consider extending the south side the other direction, and so we would need to take that approximately to Dexter Lane or Argyle Road, and that's about another 1,000 feet the other direction. We wouldn't have to have stop signs there because the sight lines are much better, but that's roughly $100,000 to complete that work. The city's policy with either of those options is to assess sidewalk to the abutting homeowners, so we'd have to consider that. And then the third option would be we'd relook at RFBs or Hawks or some of those options that were presented prior. So, and those costs then were in the range of $35,000 to $60,000. Last option would be to just take everything out and put it back to the conditions that were there before. That'd be roughly $15,000. So if you pull the stop signs, city staff could do that, and then we'd have to get a contractor to diamond grind the stripes that are there. We don't recommend that because then the pedestrian is back to that unsafe condition that existed before. So the final thing that could be considered is to escalate this within the traffic control review policy. We could do a stage 2 review. That consists of a full engineering study, a full warrant review, and further detailed cost estimates. It necessitate traffic counts and pedestrian counts, so we can get a good handle on the numbers of impacts that exist down there. So as I mentioned before, in the interest of safety of pedestrians, the cost to do those other improvements, we actually would recommend no change and leaving the traffic signs as they are.
Okay. Does council have any questions for Matt?
Yes,
Okay.
Mr. Mayor. I'm very familiar with that area right there. And we call it Grimm's Store Corner. That's what we call it.
That's what okay.
I'm used to be Nelson's there too. We had 2 stores there. But anyway, that's eons ago. My question is, do we happen to know, has there been a problem? Are there pedestrians getting hurt there? Do you know what the accident count is there?
I do not know.
Okay,
We can find that. I'd have to do some digging.
Yeah, because I'm just wondering, I think my good friend, Mr. Valsar, who lives out there past Grimm's Store, and he was concerned about, the safety at that intersection. So I believe Mr. Valsar, as our council member, brought this up. I just need to know why we're doing this, because me personally, coming down that hill, and I did drive Tuxedo. Tuxedo's the main road. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I'm very familiar with it. And I drove it, and I went out past down in Elmas, and I came back down. There is no stop sign there either. But I came around. It does interfere, in my humble opinion, with the flow of traffic there, because Brighton coming in, Tuxedo is the main, and the people have to stop. But I do want to, what started this was one of the residents over there, and of course she presented this council with this petition, and we have what, I believe there's 71 signatures on this petition, and she goes on to say that she visited about 100 houses. Some of them answered, some of them didn't, but she feels the majority of the people out there want the signs removed. So I appreciate the work you did on it, and I would really like to know, has there been a problem? Have kids gotten hit there, or, you know, why are we doing this?
So I think there's some people in the audience that want
Oh,
to talk to.
good.
So when you're done, anybody
Good.
else have any questions for
Good.
Matt?
I'd like to know.
Okay, Matt, if you want to take a seat,
Yeah.
we'll come back to you. Please give us your name and address.
Yeah. Kate Radke, we're at 3062 Brighton Boulevard. And Dan.
Dan Radke, 3062.
We live so close to this intersection that actually we were in the
boat in
picture.
that photo.
So we're very, 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 very pro stop sign.
What kind of boat?
We see everybody at that intersection for every stop that they make, and I am so thankful that the stop sign is there. There's no sidewalk on Brighton, and we have 2 small children. And we also have a bus stop right there, and it used to be like, if you wanted to wait out there with the kids, it was like back up. People are coming around, they're coming from Tuxedo onto Brighton, going 50 miles an hour, careening around the corner, and it was super dangerous. It is so amazing to have this stop sign now. Also, to just cross the street over to Tuxedo on the other side where the sidewalk is. Before, it's like, okay, everybody get on your bikes, we're gonna cross the street. Everyone wait here, listen for cars. If you can hear a car coming, don't go. But if you can't, run for your lives, and let's hope that we make it across. I mean, I understand that it slows people down for like 2 seconds. I feel for you, but I think that safety at this intersection is more important. Backing out of our driveway is impossible, but it's the kids right there. And there's so many people, just tonight we were sitting out there, so many people are walking across with their dogs. There's so much traffic. I just think it would be a huge mistake to remove the stop sign.
And I'll speak for our neighbor across the way, Troy, who couldn't be here. His driveway is right on the other side of our neighbor. He's driving across. If he backs out, he can't see through the house that's next to him. So when cars would come around, I mean, he's just taking a chance every time. So that's just something we wanted to say.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. Whoever wants to come up next. Give us your name and address.
Hi, I'm Evan Satterstrom. Exciting stop sign, crosswalk. Not quite as heated as our previous thing. I just have a little statement. Evan Satterstrom, live at 3069 Brighton Boulevard. That's the Grimm store there. That's been there for years and years, so I am on the corner there. And thank you for letting me speak here. So, I'm right at that intersection, and I work from home, so I get to see the majority of the traffic and pedestrians daily. I've reviewed the reports from the manager, and I agree with their conclusion of the report that we should leave the crosswalk and stop signs in. I'd have to admit I was a bit hesitant when I heard that there was a crosswalk and stop signs going in. I wasn't sure if they would aid pedestrian crossings or if they were going to slow traffic down at all or create more road noise. I was wrong, and if you know me, I don't admit that easily, and I'll deny it. It's been great. The addition of the 2 stop signs and the crosswalk have transferred the neighborhood from almost interstate highway system past there to a nice walking neighborhood. Previous speeds often reaching 50 to 60 miles an hour down Tuxedo. I've spoken with police officers who have cited people for that going down that stretch. It's slowed the speed down drastically. When it's warm outside, tons of people are using the crossing to get across. There have been incidents of people being hurt. Dogs have been hit and killed there. That swamp that's right there, there is a ton of wildlife in it. You'd be shocked how much comes out and across.
I know all about it.
There used to be deers,
Yeah.
turkeys, coyotes, everything goes through there. So it's quite a busy area. Gets a tremendous amount of use. I have exterior cameras like just about a lot of people do, and it has, one of the neat features is it has a tally machine on it, and we have almost 400 trips on average past coming and going, and pedestrians past my house on a daily basis. So it may not warrant accident-wise the stipulations to meet the stop signs, but man, it is a heavier than used at intersection than you would think. Everybody has to go past that point to get south on the island where the majority of the population is, and the two southern islands in Minnetrista and what's the other?
Shorewood.
Shorewood. So everybody has to come by that corner. What else I have here? I know firsthand an account of people reaching unsafe speeds, as I personally had a car parked in my driveway and was awakened by the police to come out. Somebody had gone through the intersection, jumped the curb, and totaled my car sitting in the driveway there, and that doesn't happen at 30 miles an hour.
Right.
I'll be honest, if you asked me as a 20-year-old if I'd ever be at a city council meeting talking about a stop sign or pedestrian crossing, I wouldn't believe you. But here we are, so we grow and learn from our experiences, and sometimes slowing down just for a few seconds at a light can really have an impact on the community. I think your originally made the right call to improve sight lines, adding a safe pedestrian crosswalk and slowing traffic down. I hope Mound and this body continues in the future to make good budget conscious and impactful projects like this. I'm cheap, so I like these projects. Putting it in wasn't the most expensive thing in the world, but I think it was a win. So I would just say, take the win, leave it in. Thank you.
All right, anybody else want to come up and say something? Come on up. Give us your name and address.
Yeah, Ron Stein, 3048 Brighton, just basically south of the intersection of the T there. Again, not having prepared a statement, but
Yeah.
Last minute entry, concur with what was initially said. Basis of that, one of the main concern basically on Tuxedo, basically going west, you've got a 2 to 3% incline, okay, as far as grade that you're going down. And again, speed, I can visually see that as vehicles go by past Brighton. Again, 40, 50, 60 miles, I've, since 1993, through some way, shape, or form, I've tried to have, some implementation of some reduction. I've proposed this process back in, I believe, 2008, and a similar function with previous regime. And, again, to no avail, nothing was done. So when this came to pass, I was, well, they liked my idea after all. But anyway, so it does impede the impact of the transit going through. Again, and I know animals. I've seen this past month 3 near misses. And with last week there was actually a contact, but wasn't that much damage. They left, and basically one was proceeding from Tuxedo onto Brighton, and one was coming down from Tuxedo going west. Okay, and one was going north. So again, it is there. Plus, again, the pedestrian traffic. A lot of runners in the morning. A lot of just a lot of foot traffic. And again, with that intersection, with the crosswalk. And again, the main thing is that, even in the winter, I mean, it's, yes, we've had a mild winter, but previous winters, basically a lot of, when they didn't stop, well, they said that, basically slid into the residents. So again, the vote is for all these incidents to leave it in as it is.
Okay.
For the money you spent to put that in, but it's definitely a benefit. I'm still trying to basically alleviate, because we have once you go on to Brighton and they make that turn, okay, you've got a perfect quarter mile. Okay, you've got a level, basically a grade, and again, that's another issue. But to reduce that traffic, or not the traffic, but the speed on Brighton itself, because coming from south to north, okay, it's wide open, and it's not everyone. There people are slowing down, but there are cases where, again, to my knowledge, and I don't know if that's changed yet. Is that still a state road? Is Brighton still under the state jurisdiction?
County road.
It's a
right?
county.
State aid.
City road, it's state aid.
State aid, okay, so it's still under that premise. Okay, so that's why, there's a reduction in speed or something on it, because, again, you have a perfect rise, you've got a quarter mile. And years past, people, once at the end of Brighton, okay, they've gone straight on into the person's yard, and, they can't make that turn as it goes on into past the tennis courts.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's again, there's something else to be addressed there. I know that we've done speed bumps because it is a major thoroughfare for emergency vehicles. Greg Peterson and we've discussed this back in, I think, through many years. There's something can be done on that. But it's always been an issue. Because again, you've got that grade, you've got a perfect, now with 0 to 60 with Teslas, you're going, 2 seconds. And I've seen them, they go, basic, so this stop sign from Tuxedo to Brighton, at least it slows it down, makes people think a little bit, and they don't, come basically swerving around that corner.
Yeah, makes
Okay?
sense.
So my vote is to leave it in place, you spend the money for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and if taking it out, as I mentioned before, $20 in the sawzall, we can do it, but let's not do that.
Well, we got to get the crosswalk out too, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else want to say anything? Can you give us your name and address?
You know who I am. I'm Deb Vertnick, and I live at 5217 Windsor Road. And I am the one who did this petition. Boy, I don't even know where to start on all of this that I just heard. First of all, I guess I heard that people were sliding through and things happening. Well, the stop sign is there and that's happening. So how does the stop sign prevent that, I
think they're
guess?
saying that
Because
it
people are
happened
running
before
it.
that.
So, and that's why I ran out of the room really quickly, because I saw that was an Orono officer there. And so I actually stopped him out there to ask him, get his take on. He said, and I asked him if he could come in here and talk for him because of what he said. I said, "Can you come in here and talk for me?" And he said, "I can't do that because of his position, and he's in uniform and all that." But at any rate, so yeah, he said it's a problem area with those stop signs in there, and that they have cited lots of people, that they are letting people go. He said he's pulled over personally a lot of people and did not cite them, but
What are you saying that, what are they citing him for?
pardon me?
What is he citing him for?
For running the stop sign.
Oh, yeah, okay, well then.
Because people, that's what they're doing.
Right.
People are running those stop signs. And to be clear, I'm not suggesting we take the stop sign out at Brighton, at Tuxedo. I'm not suggesting that at all. Just the two that went in on Tuxedo going both directions that you guys put up last June. Now, a couple of you guys tried to get a hold of me, apparently, and I called you both back, Jesse and Matt. I did not hear back from either one of you, so I don't know what you wanted to talk to me about or whatever, but I know I was having trouble with my email, and I did leave messages telling you guys that. I did not hear back, so I don't know what you wanted to talk to me about.
Well, we wanted to
regardless.
invite you to here to go, to first of all, to listen to your petition.
Okay.
But then also, what we did is we came up with a policy of when we get everybody in the city wants a stop sign at their corner, of course, right? What's our process?
Okay.
So we came up with a process. So what we did is we took your petition and we said, great, a resident came forward, they have an issue, they want to talk about it, great, let's put it through the process. That's what he just gave us, the results of the process. And that's what we're talking about today, is
Sure.
do we make a change or do we just leave it alone?
Okay, so a couple of things. Now, I have, I believe, 70 names on these. I don't have a ton of time. I spent a lot of time walking door to door, talking to these people. These are random houses. These are not like people I know that I had come sign my petition. I think I personally know 3 people on here. Everybody else, I'm knocking on their door. I did approximately 100 doors. Out of those 100 doors, I think it was like 12, I think, didn't answer their door. And 70 people signed my petition. The rest, it was like for every 5 houses I did, I get signatures, and the 6th one would say, no, I want the stop signs there. So, I mean, do the math. And I also only did people that were starting at Brighton and going south toward Allen Almas, and I did random on, what's funny about that?
It's pretty people that it doesn't affect. Yeah.
Everyone affects that. It's the people that are going.
People that want to be 13 seconds late to work for the safety of our kids.
So,
sorry.
all right.
So everyone has to go through that intersection to get from, so I didn't go on the other direction for Phelps Island because that doesn't affect them on a daily basis. So I went south toward Allen Almas, handful of those. I went to Shady and I went to Enchanted because those people are going back and forth to work every single day. And they have to go past that intersection every single day. So I don't see why you think that's funny.
Because
But
those people are just driving through the neighborhood, they don't live in the neighborhood. And Shady and Enchanted are in different cities, so I don't know why we would bring them up in.
because they have to go through there to get to their house.
All right, well.
Because they live there.
All right.
So, at any rate, so, you know, I'm all for the safety thing. That's all well and good. I don't think that makes anything any safer. People are still speeding through those. I personally had people, when they were signing the petition, they would say, oh, you mean the stop sign that I just ran? Yeah, sure, I'll sign that. People are running that stop sign. That does not make people safer. It makes it safer if they're gone. People are already looking for what's going on with the traffic. Yes, people do speed on that road. They do, whether those signs are there or not.
Okay.
People are still speeding. I had one lady, I knocked on her door. I said, I know it's late. I just found out I'm going to this meeting tonight. Do you want to come? Because she told me that she's up at 3 in the morning where people are, she's right there on the corner on the hill. And she was saying that people stop there and then they're like peeling out because they have to stop for the stop sign. So the squeals and stuff woke her up. That's what she told me. So, and the neighbor to her said, you know, yeah, I'll sign it because people are running that sign. It's going to be safer without it because you don't know what to expect when people are not obeying that sign. They don't like it. I mean, do the math. I mean, I got like 70% of the people there that don't want those signs there. You know, you guys live on Brighton. You know, I respect that. I know you got little kids and stuff. I drive school bus. Yeah, I want kids to be safe. Don't think I don't. But I think that a pedestrian crossing sign with the thing, when we were coming here tonight, and this is not the first time I've seen this, but just coming here, literally coming here tonight, when I turned from that stop sign onto Brighton to come here, people were crossing the street, but they weren't using the crosswalk. They were crossing on the other side, the south side, where there wasn't the cross, right there. At that, I mean, because they didn't want to walk there. That's not the first time I've seen that. Where I'm going by and people are crossing the street, but they're not even using the crosswalk. That's their prerogative. You know, it's not a really busy road. I mean, there's not like car after car. In the summertime, yes, it is busier because people are going to Allen Almas and stuff, you know, for those boats. But in the winter, it's, you know, I tried to watch when I was coming here tonight. I pulled over on Brighton Common just so I could see. We saw 8 people run the stop sign while we were sitting there watching. 8 people running that stop sign. And I just think it's not doing any good. I almost got rear-ended there twice. I almost got broadsided when I was making that left-hand turn onto Brighton. And I've lived out here since 1993, so I've been here a long time. We've never had these problems when the signs weren't here before. I don't have a problem with, you know, putting up pedestrian crossing ahead or, you know, whatever, sign like that. But to make people stop there, especially in the wintertime, I sent you that text on that snowy night a few weeks ago, and you texted me back. I said, if you want to see what this is like in the wintertime, drive there right now. Do you remember getting that text?
Yeah, I think I do. What did I text you
You,
back?
I don't remember what you texted me back, but you did text me back.
Okay, oh, yeah.
It was like that really snowy night we had a few weeks ago.
Yeah, the 2 inches that we got.
And I was going someplace, and it's like,
Yeah.
I had to run that stop sign, because I wasn't gonna make it up the hill.
All right, so I think we get your point, and I do want to say thank you for going around and getting a petition. I mean, that's obviously, just like us, I mean, we take our free time, a lot of free time, to hopefully make Mound a better place and stuff. So again, we do appreciate it. I think we kind of hear what you're saying.
Well, I hope so.
I
I would
appreciate
like to make one more point if I can.
Real fast.
And that would be that on streets in this town that are actually busy, like 110, where there's tons of traffic, and the crosswalk at Jubilee, there's no stop sign there. You don't stop traffic on 110 where there actually is traffic, where people can really get hurt. Same thing at Grandview. There's a crosswalk there. There's no stop sign, and it's street to street, same as this. There's no stop sign at those. I mean, if there should be a stop sign, I guess that would seem more logical to me, to put it in a place where people are actually taking their life in their hands trying to cross traffic that is constant, whereas here, the traffic is not constant. I do not dispute that people speed there, but I do suggest that because of the curve there and because of the hill, those are natural slowdowns to begin with, and people who are going to speed there are going to speed there whether that sign is there or not. And it's safer if you know you can keep going rather than wonder if who's going to be the next person to run the stop sign.
Okay, thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Does anybody else want to say anything?
Yep.
Okay, can you give us your name and address?
Phil Belser, 3232 Gladstone Lane, Mound.
The author of the bill.
The author of the bill, yeah. First off, being on the council for 4 years, I know Sherry was a big proponent of walking around the city, and so that's where my heart came from on this thing, because as my kids, they're now 10 and 12, got bigger and bigger, their radius around our house got bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, that stop sign, or not the stop sign, the crosswalk, or the area they needed to cross at Brighton was now in the range where they're going past it. So I got nervous. That's what prompted me to bring this all up. You know, I thought about this when I saw this discussed in one of the meetings in the last month, and I thought, well, why don't we look at doing a temporary stop sign like they do at Allen Lemons during the summer? Those don't work. It takes probably 2 months for everybody to get used to them being there, and then another 2 months when they disappear in, September, October. So temporary doesn't work. And the stop sign itself, I was behind 3 cars the other day, and I kind of one Mississippi'd it as I was slowing down and behind these cars, and by the time I was going, I hadn't gotten to 20. So to say, my problem with this is it seems like we're talking about an inconvenience for everybody that's on the petition. It's an inconvenience because they have to stop, or I guess choose not to. But it's about safety. And that crosswalk there, I guess if we're not doing stop signs and a crosswalk there, I would challenge the city to say, then we need to put a sidewalk in. Because the sidewalk needs to be there continuous. And the intersections you're referencing in your argument, those all have sidewalks on every side of the street. We don't have to cross the street to get to a certain spot in those instances. The sidewalk stops there. You have to cross the street right there. You have to. So, as far as
All right, let's.
the one thing I would say is, it was talked about making it safer by taking them away. Who are we making it safer for? The drivers or the pedestrians? How? That's not true. That's just not true. If people are getting pulled over and we're just letting them go, then something needs to be said to the Orono police.
Right.
Because that's not stopping the problem.
Right.
A ticket or 2 or 3 is going to stop the problem. And let's see, I already said, I would definitely challenge the city. If the stop sign is a problem there, then sidewalks need to be extended all the way out past Allen Alma's, all the way to the end of the city property. One thing I would ask, it's Ryan, right? Yes. The one thing I would like to ask is that the solar lights that are on the stop signs themselves get turned back up so the sun's getting them, so then they're working again. And then the last thing I'm gonna say is it does sound like we need to have more of a patrol presence out there if it's that bad. I don't sit there and watch it. You know, I expect people to do what they're supposed to do. I've rolled through it before, you know, 10 o'clock coming back from a hockey game, but I always stop. And, you know, there's nothing wrong. It takes 3 seconds to stop and keep going.
Yeah.
So inconvenience to me does not take precedence over safety. Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. All right, anybody else? Give us your name and address, and you got 3 minutes.
Mary Davis, 3021 Inverness Lane. I take Tuxedo a lot. I thought it was a brilliant idea. I didn't even know there was a problem, but once the sign was there, I was like, that makes a lot of sense. Why wasn't it there? And I hate to say it because I hate these things, but what about a speed bump?
Yeah, well, yeah.
So,
Yep.
just want to make that suggestion.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else want to comment? Well,
I would just revisit
well,
one thing if I could quick.
Come up.
All right, let him come up and then give us your name and address.
Stephen Vertnick, 5217 Windsor. As far as the sidewalks go, there's a lot of people that are not even using sidewalks. They walk in the street, they're walking with traffic, pushing baby strollers, and kids and dogs and parents, and it's like, dude, when I was a kid, I was taught that you walk towards traffic.
That's a debate with my wife, like all the time we walk.
And that's just one thing, and then
Seriously.
and they don't use they go kittywampus across from Brighton
Right.
off of Tuxedo. And I saw all those cars today too. No one's stopping there, they're just going through. And because of that, and I know what my wife was saying, when you're taking a left from going in towards town on Tuxedo and going towards Brighton,
yeah.
the cars coming down the hill, they will slow down, but a lot of times they're counting on that you probably won't be there, and that's how she almost got hit.
So they're not stopping at that stop sign?
No.
Okay, well then again, we got to
And
enforce it.
the other thing too is, in the wintertime, and I think a seasonal stop sign would be a good thing, and it worked. We live up behind Allen Alma's, and they take them out after the last, pretty much October 1st, I think, and they put them in before the season starts over there. Seasonal stop signs would be a good idea too, because in the wintertime, there's nobody crossing there. And also, when there's that icy storm and you're coming down, actually, more so when you're going up and you get 3 or 4 inches of snow, you're sitting there and you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
If you don't hit, because that's a pretty steep hill going up that other side. So that's what I basically wanted to say, and that's why I think they should be seasonal at best. I'd like to see them removed totally, but seasonal would be okay as well.
Okay. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you.
All right, well, this came, was it 2 years ago now? Year and a half ago? When was it, Phil?
Mr. Bell already know.
Anyway, it was a while back. And actually, when you mentioned it, I think I said at the time, I said, oh, you know, I've got buddies in the area that have told me the same thing. Of course, I don't go over there almost ever, right? Now I do, just looking at the town. But so I was a voter for this, to put this in originally, just for the record. So, and for me too, according to our couple options that we have, I would just say we just leave it alone. It sounds like, you know, even if it inconveniences a few people, you know, you save one kid's life, or, you know, make it a little bit easier to cross the street. I think that's a little bit more important. So anyway, I would just say leave it alone. Does council want to say anything about that?
No, I was just gonna say I'd rather stick with the city engineer's recommendation.
Okay. Sherry?
Well, you know, I'm always talking about that we need to focus more on being a good walkable community. And it looks like, and I know from my driving, because I live off of Commerce, that when I pass the Jubilee, and I'm a slower driver, I drive 30, that people pass me at Jubilee. And sometimes people pass me to turn on Tonkawood, which is where I'm turning, which is the next block. So I don't understand the rush to get through this town. You're either going home or you're going to work. And if you're going to work, you make time so that you get there on time. I just don't, so I guess I support what they're doing. Ms. Burton, I do appreciate your work in going to the neighbors, and it does give us some insights about that. And I think that we need to work on communicating to residents about thinking about walkability and safety in our community, so that then we wouldn't have to have signs because people would comply.
You guys have anything to say?
I lived there a long time as a kid. I know the hills. I mean, when I think of the crazy stuff we used to do on that hill, from the top of the hill where we lived, we would take toboggans down that street, if it snowed or anything. We'd go all the way down past Grimm's, and we'd go around the corner. I mean, the crazy things we did on that hill. This sounds to me like this is a police issue with the people speeding. We've got the speeding going on other roads in Mound, not just on Island Park. And I agree with Sherry. Over there where you want to take a left into Jubilee off of 110, and there's no stop sign there. It's a crosswalk or whatever. Another dangerous place that has no stop sign is that Grandview area where I take my grandkids and drop them off. Now, usually it's a patrol officer there or a CSO there watching that intersection. That's another bad one, but there's no stop sign there. And by the way, Mr. Velser, I missed you sitting next to me. I just want to tell you that. Yeah. Oh, yes, I do. You were over here by me, so I miss you. But I'm going to say I think it's more of getting the police out there, setting up those radar things, and trying to get the people, the speeders. It has always been an issue out there with speeding. I'm going to say, based on my personal experience out there, is that a crosswalk or a stop sign is not going to deter anybody from being intoxicated, running it through, and all I can see are those little kids assuming that this is going to be a good place. And it's kind of like I was reminded that a restraining order is not going to protect you. It's a piece of paper, and the bullet can go through, just like a crosswalk. It's not going to protect you if somebody is intoxicated or not paying attention and going 60 miles an hour down that curve, which I know they can do. So I'm going to go with the people, the 71 that I counted, that said they don't want the ones on Tuxedo. I happen to agree with them both ways. It's very dangerous. When and if it's icy there, we haven't had that this year. But I just can't, we just can't assume that a crosswalk or a flashing sign if someone's intoxicated, that's not gonna make them stop. I wish I could make everything safe in this town, but I just think that's a deterrent, those two stop signs. That's my opinion.
Well, we're doing it here, yeah. Councilmember McEnany.
For me, the cost of making any changes versus just leaving them in is, I say leave them in, but I know how much work you went through to get all those signs, all the signatures, and I know your passion, so I appreciate that. But from a cost standpoint, it's crazy, 15 grand to take them out. I would just say leave them and take your recommendation as well.
Okay. All right. So any other last comments from us? No? Do we need to vote on this or just leave it alone?
Yeah, just a recommendation, no vote necessary unless you want to
Okay.
pursue it further.
Someone want to make a motion to the staff that we're just going to leave the sign as is?
I will make a motion to stick with the city engineer's recommendation on the stop sign at Tuxedo.
Okay. Got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nate.
All right, that passes. Thanks, guys, for coming out. Appreciate your hard work. Yep. Okay, last up, we're number 12, comments from members. I'm gonna give it 1 minute here. All right, Councilmember Pugh, do you have anything?
Well, I went with the mayor and city manager and deputy manager to the legislative day on the Hill.
Hold on. Can anybody hear?
It was good.
Matt,
Yeah, okay.
we can't hear when they're talking.
Okay, so last Thursday, 4 of us were at the League of Cities, City Day on the Hill, and a lot of cities were there. And so we were able to meet with our 2 representatives, Morrison and Myers, about the water bill and impress upon them our need for them to be aggressive in pursuing money. Both indicated that this was their #1 priority and that they were working towards that. But it's an interesting session because it appears that it may not be a bonding bill, and that's where we had hoped to get the money, and it appears that we're not probably likely to get 10 million, but you know what? If everyone writes our representatives, it just adds pressure. It reminds them, and I know both of them are working hard for us, but we need to do that, and we also need to write our Washington folks too, because they're a source of money in that. So that's all I've been doing.
All right, thanks. Councilmember Larson?
I have nothing to report.
Okay. Councilmember Roy? All right. Councilmember, anything?
I don't have anything in particular to me, but I think we should give the staff kudos at Harbor Wine and Spirits. They had $25,000 up in revenue.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like on their report here, they had 1 extra shopping day, like leap day this year. But, I mean, that's not the industry trend right now, is down and they're up. So, you know, Ron et al., I guess.
Good, nice.
Yeah, their traffic is up, their customers coming in the door is up, not just the sales, but everything's up.
I was impressed. I found out that they do, when people come in and say they're interested in certain items, they actually are following up, calling them and saying, we can get this item and it's coming in. So that little personal touch, I think was, it was really good to hear that we did that. You don't think of a municipal business being that customer friendly, but our staff really is reaching out.
Yeah, they're bucking the trend right now for sure.
Good.
And we're known as being the most successful store.
Yeah.
Someone came up to us and
Yeah, and they were in January too, it was just even more so in February, so kudos.
So I have really good news if you haven't heard. Probably should have led with that. We were awarded $959,752 from the community project funding that we applied for. So we applied for $4 million. I don't know if you guys remember last, well, you got, well, you remember. I got a call from some guy that tries to help cities get funding for things, and I was going in to get my shot. Remember that?
Yeah.
In my back. I'm like, yeah, way to take the call. So then he said, well, you got to get your bill in. I think it was like a Thursday, and they're like, Friday at noon, you got to have it done. And I was like, and you're okay. And so anyway, I reached out to Bolton and Eric at the time, and you guys somehow turned it around within 20, not even 24 hours probably. Whatever the math was, pretty fast. We had a bill, we decided at 4, you can kind of do whatever you want, but they're only gonna fund so much of your ask per se. So we'll maybe tie into the other cities that got funding or whatever, but we did this through Senator Klobuchar, Senator Smith, and then Congressman Phillips. So the if you look at I don't know if you have it up, but the three people have to kind of sign on to the bill per se. Anyway, so our note that we just got, this came from Congressman Phillips, and supposedly Senator Klobuchar was supposed to call me the other day and tell me the good news, and he calls me and say, hey, keep your ringer on for 3 days later. I haven't got a call yet, but anyway, thank you, Senator Klobuchar. So again, it says, we are pleased to announce your recent request for community project funding has been passed by the House and Senate, and it is signed by the President. So it's done. The City of Mound for manganese removal project has been funded at $959,752. Please be prepared for outreach from the federal agency that will fund your project to learn more about when funds will be dispersed. Their office is proud to have fought for funding. Thank you for your part in making your district safer, stronger, healthier, that kind of thing. So,
Congrats.
very
That's
good.
great.
I mean, it's only $1 million, but it's $1 million.
Yeah, it's $1 million.
we need a lot of millions. Seriously, thank you for that. That was, I don't know how you guys turned that around so fast and filled out all those forms, but.
I think Brian and Eric were ready, they got the words.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, just so you know, again, other towns put whatever dollar amount, but you'll see a lot of the same 950, you know, they kind of did, not everyone's the same, but they did that. I don't know why they do that, but they do it, so.
It's a very competitive program.
It is.
So essentially, any senator can submit as many bills as they want. So there's 855 cities in the state, 2 senators, if everybody just submits one, there's already 855 that you're up against, so any amount is pretty good.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great.
Well, we were pretty tickled when
Yeah.
I was really excited. He called me because
Should
he got an email from Klobuchar's staff, and it's like, keep your ringer on. And I was like, why? I think I know why, but why?
I will say, the reason why I was all fired up to keep your ringer on is because I've been through this once before, and that call went to voicemail. And it's kind of one you want to catch, so
Yeah.
I don't know what the timing is, but they,
Maybe she already called me tonight, so.
it's very cool. And there is not guidance just yet for fiscal year '25, but when it comes out, it's you usually get about a week, so it's fast.
And that's what I emailed him right away. I said, okay, well, how are we getting in for the next 4? You know, what do we do? And you did say it's a little bit harder if you got it the first year to get the second year, but whatever, we're gonna try again.
Yeah.
Take us 26 years to get all the millions of dollars we need. But anyway, I just want to share that great news. Thank you for spending the whole day with me at the Capitol. Like you said, we met with Morrison and Myers, and the one comment that, like you said, that I think I got out of that is both of them said, this is very, very important. This is, you know, one of our #1 priorities. So it's like, you know, we email them, call them. I mean, we pound them, and it's like, it's good to hear that in person too. So anyway, I don't know if I did, I mean, we've done some things, but let's just leave it at that. It's been a long night. So if there's anything else, I'll say it next time. So next meeting, we're doing a state of the water update, right?
That'll be soon.
Brian will come and give us that, so if anybody wants to come and listen to what we've been doing over the last couple of years with our water, like I just said, we just got this funding, we got the 10.3 last year. Quick note on that, we have a bill to unlock that funding, and if we do, we tranched out the project into 3 different tranches. So this first one would kind of cover the design, some water main improvements, and then also capping some wells and
well work,
yeah. So that kind of would spend the first 10. Now this one, we'll have to find somewhere to spend the 1, and then hopefully we get more down the road. So with that, that's all I got. So if anybody else has anything else? No? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Oh, sorry, do you have any comments?
Mayor Holt and Councilmember Larson, you're both on the police commission.
Oh,
that
tomorrow
went
morning.
out. There's a meeting tomorrow morning at 8, so I was taking notes here on this the stop sign. We'll find a
mention
time to bring it up in the morning.
Yes, thank you.
Just a reminder.
Okay, any other things, comments? Okay. All right, take a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
All right, and can I get a second?
Second.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, we're adjourned.